Every night at 10:47 p.m., my son waited for me by the front window. He never complained. He never asked me to come home. He simply waited. Sometimes he sat on the couch with his favorite blanket, wrapped around his shoulders. Sometimes he fell asleep with a book in his lap. And sometimes, when I finally pulled into the driveway, I could see his little face through the glass before I even opened the front door. He was 9 years old. His name was Noah. And for almost 2 years, I had been working nights to keep our little family afloat. I was a single mother. His father had left when Noah was 6. There wasn't a dramatic goodbye. No screaming. No slammed doors. Just a quiet morning when his father put 2 bags into his car and told me he needed a different life. I remember Noah standing beside the kitchen table. He was holding a bowl of cereal. "Is Daddy coming back for dinner?" His father looked at me. I knew what that look meant. He wasn't coming back, but I couldn't make myself say it. So I knelt beside Noah and hugged him. "We'll be okay." It became the sentence I said whenever life became too difficult. "We'll be okay." When the rent increased, I said it. When our old car broke down, I said it. When Noah needed new school shoes, I said it. When my refrigerator stopped working in the middle of summer, I said it. And when I started working nights at a 24-hour grocery store, I said it again. "We'll be okay." I just didn't realize that being okay would cost me so many evenings with my son. My shift started at 5 p.m. I usually left home at 4:20. Noah came home from school around 3:30. That gave us less than an hour together. Sometimes I made dinner before leaving. Sometimes there wasn't enough time. On the nights when I was exhausted, we'd eat sandwiches at the kitchen table. Noah never complained. He would tell me about school. I would listen while checking the clock. "Mom? Yeah? Are you listening?" I would put my phone down. "I'm listening. My teacher said my drawing was the best one." "That's amazing." "And Jason fell off his chair." I laughed. "Did he get hurt?" "No, but he was really embarrassed." Noah laughed too. Then the clock would remind me that I had to leave. I'd stand up. He'd look at me. "You're going to work again?" "Just tonight." "You said that yesterday." I smiled. "I know." He didn't argue. He just nodded. Then he'd walk me to the door. "Good night, Mom. It's not bedtime yet." "I know." He hugged me. "Be careful." I would kiss his forehead. Always. Then I would leave. The grocery store was only 15 minutes away. It wasn't glamorous. I stocked shelves, cleaned spills, worked the register, helped customers find things. Sometimes I unloaded trucks at midnight. Sometimes I worked until 2 a.m. Sometimes later. My manager, Denise, was kind. "You work too hard," she'd tell me. "I don't have much choice." "You always have a choice." I smiled. "Not when you're raising a kid alone." She never argued after that. One night around midnight, I was restocking cereal when my phone vibrated. It was a message from Noah. "Mom, are you okay?" I smiled. I typed, "I'm fine, buddy. Go to sleep." A few seconds later, "I love you." I stared at those words. Then I typed, "I love you more." I put my phone away, but I carried those words with me for the rest of the shift. The problem with working nights wasn't the work. It was missing the little things. I missed bedtime stories. I missed school concerts. I missed helping with homework. I missed Friday movie nights. I missed breakfast before school. I missed watching Noah lose his first tooth. Actually, I didn't miss that one. He had waited until I came home. He was sitting on the couch at 11:30 p.m. "Mom!" I nearly dropped my bag. "What happened?" He opened his mouth. "Look." There was a tiny gap where his tooth had been. I laughed. "You lost a tooth." He nodded proudly. "I wanted you to see it." I hugged him. "You should have been asleep." "I couldn't." "Why?" "I wanted to tell you first." I kissed his forehead. "Thank you for waiting." He smiled. I didn't tell him that I wished I could be there for everything. I didn't want him carrying my guilt. One Saturday morning, Noah asked me a question. We were eating pancakes. He pushed his fork around his plate. "Mom? Yeah? Why do you work every night?" I froze. I knew this question was coming eventually. "Because we need money." He looked at me. For what? For the house. We have a house. For food. We have food. For your school. My school isn't that expensive. I smiled. Everything adds up. He thought about that. Then he asked, Are we poor? The question hit me harder than I expected. I put down my fork. No. But we don't go places. We go places. Where? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. He continued. You never come to my games. I try. You work. Yes. You didn't come to the science fair. I had to work. You missed my class play. I know. He looked down. Then he said, I don't want new shoes. What? I don't want anything. My heart tightened. I just want you home. I reached across the table and took his hand. I'm sorry. His eyes filled with tears. Are you working because of me? No. Then why? Because I love you. He looked confused. How is working because you love me? I smiled sadly. Sometimes parents do hard things because they love their children. But I don't want you to be tired. That sentence stayed with me. Because he was 9. And he was already worrying about me. That night, after Noah went to bed, I sat alone at the kitchen table. I looked at the bills. Rent, electricity, car payment, groceries, school expenses, medical bills. There wasn't much left. I cried quietly. Not because I regretted working. I didn't. I would work every night for my son if that's what it took. But I hated that he thought my absence meant he wasn't important. I wanted him to know the truth. He was the most important thing in my life. The reason I worked wasn't because I wanted to be away from him. It was because I wanted to build a life where he never had to wonder whether we would have a home tomorrow. A few weeks later, something happened that changed everything. I came home at 1:18 a.m. The house was dark. I opened the door quietly. Then I saw a piece of paper on the kitchen table. It had my name written across it. For Mom. I picked it up. It was folded in half. I opened it. The handwriting was uneven. Some words were crossed out. Others were written darker because the pencil had pressed too hard. The letter began, Dear Mom, I don't know if I should give you this because I don't want you to be sad, but I need you to know something. I know you work every night. I know you're tired. I know sometimes you don't eat because you say you're not hungry. I know you think I don't notice. But I do. My heart started beating faster. I kept reading. I know you buy my stuff before you buy your stuff. I know you say your shoes are fine even though they have a hole. I know you give me the last pancake. I covered my mouth. Then I read the next line. I know you work because you love me. Tears filled my eyes. But then came the sentence that broke me. Mom, you don't have to give me everything. I already have the most important thing. I have you. I sat down. I couldn't breathe for a moment. The letter continued. When you come home late, I wait because I like hearing your key in the door. It means you're home. Sometimes I pretend I'm still awake because I want to say goodnight. I'm sorry if I make you feel like you need to work more. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to come home. Then at the bottom, Noah had drawn 2 stick figures. One was tall, one was small. Above them, he had written, My family. I cried harder than I had cried in years. Not the quiet kind of crying I had learned to do after Noah went to bed. This was the kind that came from somewhere deep. The kind that happens when someone finally says the thing your heart has been desperate to hear. I walked down the hallway. Noah was asleep. I sat beside his bed. His little hand was outside the blanket. I took it gently. He woke up. Mom? Hey, buddy. Did you get my letter? I nodded. You wrote this? He nodded. Did you like it? I started crying again. I loved it. He sat up. Why are you crying? I hugged him. Because you made me very happy. He hugged me back. I don't want you to work so much. I know. Can you stop? I looked at him. I can't stop completely. He looked disappointed. But I can make some changes. Really? Really? I kissed his forehead. And you don't ever have to worry about money. But what if we don't have enough? Then we'll figure it out together. He smiled. Okay. Then he whispered, Mom, Yeah? I think you're the best mom. I closed my eyes. Thank you. You're welcome. He fell asleep holding my hand. I stayed there for a long time. The next morning, I called Denise. I need to change my schedule. She listened. I can't work every night anymore. She was quiet. Then she said, I've been waiting for you to say that. What? You're a great employee, but your son needs his mom. I swallowed. Can I switch to fewer nights? I'll see what I can do. She did. My hours were reduced. My paycheck became smaller. That scared me. But something else became bigger. My life with Noah. The first Friday night we spent together felt strange. No uniform. No grocery store. No fluorescent lights. No clock watching. Just me and my son. I made popcorn. He chose a movie. We sat on the couch. Halfway through, he fell asleep against my shoulder. I didn't move. My arm went numb. I didn't care. I looked at his face. And I realized something. I had spent so much time working to give him a better life that I had almost forgotten that my presence was part of that life. Money could buy shoes. It could pay rent. It could keep the lights on. But it couldn't sit beside him during a movie. It couldn't listen to his stories. It couldn't watch him laugh. It couldn't tuck him into bed. I could. And maybe that was the gift he had been asking for all along. Months passed. Things weren't easy. We still had to budget carefully. We canceled things. We cooked more at home. I picked up occasional weekend shifts. But I was there. I went to Noah's school play. I sat in the front row. He looked for me before the curtain opened. When he saw me, he smiled. That smile was worth more than any paycheck. At his next soccer game, I stood on the sidelines. He ran across the field. He scored a goal. Then he looked straight at me. I clapped. He smiled. After the game, he ran toward me. You came! I told you I would. He hugged me. You really came. I kissed his hair. I'll keep coming. A year later, Noah's teacher asked me to come to school. I immediately worried something was wrong. But when I arrived, she smiled. It's good news. She showed me a writing assignment. The topic was, what does family mean to you? I read Noah's answer. He had written, family is the person who comes home tired but still asks how your day was. Family is the person who gives you the last pancake. Family is the person who works hard because they love you. But family is also the person who knows when to stop working and sit beside you. I couldn't read the rest. My eyes filled with tears. His teacher smiled. He's a wonderful kid. I know. You've done a good job. I shook my head. No. She looked surprised. I think he's done a good job. Years passed. Noah grew taller. His voice changed. He went from a little boy who waited by the window to a teenager who stayed up late studying. Then came college applications. Then graduation. Then the day he left for college. I stood in the driveway watching him put his bags into his car. The same driveway where I had once left for work every night. He hugged me. You okay? I'm fine. He smiled. You're doing the thing. What thing? Pretending you're not crying. I laughed. Get in your car. He hugged me again. I love you, Mom. I love you too. He opened the car door. Then he stopped. Wait. He reached into his backpack. He handed me an envelope. What's this? Read it later. I smiled. Another letter? Maybe. He drove away. I stood there until the car disappeared. Then I went inside. I sat at the kitchen table. The same table where he had written the first letter. I opened the envelope. Inside was a piece of paper. The handwriting was much neater now. It said, Mom, when I was 9, I thought you worked because we needed money. Then I thought you worked because life was hard. As I got older, I realized you worked because you loved me enough to do whatever it took to protect me. But the thing I remember most isn't how many hours you worked. It's the night you changed your schedule. You chose to come home. You taught me that love isn't only sacrifice. Sometimes love is knowing when someone needs you beside them. You gave me a childhood I didn't understand until I became old enough to appreciate it. And Mom, if I ever become half the parent you were, I'll consider myself lucky. Thank you for working so hard for me. And thank you for eventually realizing that the best thing you could give me wasn't something you could buy. It was your time. I love you. Noah. I pressed the letter against my chest. Then I laughed through my tears, because suddenly I remembered that first letter. The uneven handwriting, the crossed-out words, the little stick figures, and I realized that the little boy who once waited by the window had grown into a young man who understood something many adults never learn. Love isn't measured by how much you sacrifice. It's measured by whether the people you love can feel your presence. Years later, Noah became a father himself. When his daughter was born, he called me from the hospital. Mom? Yeah? She's here. I started crying. Is she healthy? She is. Are you okay? He laughed. I don't know. I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. Then he said, Mom, I finally understand. Understand what? Everything. I smiled. You don't have to understand everything tonight. I do, though. He paused. You worked so hard because you loved me. I swallowed. Yes. And you changed because you loved me too. Yes. I hope I can be that kind of parent. You will. How do you know? Because you're already asking the right questions. There was silence. Then he said, Mom? Yeah? Thank you for coming home. I closed my eyes. And for a moment, I was back at that little kitchen table. 9-year-old Noah. A pencil. A folded piece of paper. And the words that changed everything. You don't have to give me everything. I already have the most important thing. I have you. I realized then that parenting isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about making sacrifices when necessary. It's about listening when your child says they're hurting. It's about understanding that sometimes the thing your child needs most isn't another toy, another trip, or another expensive gift. Sometimes they just need you to sit beside them. Sometimes they need you to put down the phone. Sometimes they need you to come home. And sometimes years later, they will remind you that all those little moments mattered. So if you're a parent watching this tonight, remember something. Your child may forget the clothes you bought. They may forget the vacations you couldn't afford. They may forget the expensive toys. But they will remember your voice. They will remember your hugs. They will remember whether you showed up. And most of all, they will remember how they felt when they were with you. Because children don't need perfect parents. They need present ones. And sometimes the smallest sentence from a child can teach a parent the biggest lesson of their life. You don't have to give me everything. I already have you.